Unbelievable.
Hello, are we
good morning.
on? Well, thank you. That was the, hey, I'm glad we weren't saying anything ugly, aren't you?
Yeah. Especially against Ron.
We were talking about rain, imagine that. We've got a lot of it, right? Well, Charlie's here, and I'm trying to see if anybody's called yet. Charlie, how are you?
I am fine, and I want to talk about something that's kind of geeky. It's
kind of what?
Geeky.
Geeky?
It drills
Okay,
down, but it's fun to do on occasion.
All right.
And I just want you to come into this room with me and enjoy what we're going to talk about for just a second.
I'm here, Charlie.
It's called trimming. And the science behind trimming. Anytime you trim anything, ding ding, that means when I go ding ding, that means really listen to this. Anytime you trim anything, you are encouraging growth. Now, what I mean by that is we have what we call in biology, in horticulture, apical dominance. And that is where the outermost branch going up is apically dominant. So, if you trim the height of a plant back to say the first or the second branching, you're taking, this is fun, you're taking the apical dominance, or those meristematic tissues that have aggregated on the top, and you know what they do? They keep the other branches from really having any growth at all. So when you trim that back, you're taking away the apical dominance of that plant and allowing the growth tissue of the lateral branches to grow for the first time, basically. So all of a sudden, they get a new burst of life, and you get a lot more growth laterally than you do terminally. So anytime, I don't know if that interests you or not, but if you understand that when you trim something back from the height and you want it to be lower, you're taking away that apical dominance and releasing that growth for the side branches.
And so you're going to get, if you want it to be less or shorter and fuller is what you're going to do.
It's exactly right.
Well, people call, I mean, every time we have a caller, somebody's asking about trimming my whatever it is at that time.
Your viburnum, your hydrangea, your et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
But I think one of the questions I had when I had shrubbery and things like that was, how far do I go?
Yeah.
You know, I think I always would be too aggressive.
Yeah. You go back to the height you're comfortable with. And in other words, if you have, let's say, a viburnum, and viburnum bloom basically in the spring and the summer, you can be trimming, you can bring them down now. And let's say you've got a 6-foot Chesapeake viburnum or an Allegheny viburnum, and you want it to be 3 foot. Well, that's not too aggressive. You can trim it down to that 3 foot. Just know that you're taking away the ability of the height of the plant, and you're giving it to the side branches. And that creates a fullness that you normally wouldn't have.
Diane is on the phone for you, Charlie.
Diane, I hope you've got a trimming question for us.
Well, no.
I'm kidding.
I had a fir oak tree cut down and the stump ground out. And I would like to plant an azalea bush there, and I don't know what I need to do to the ground before I plant it.
Okay, take that mulch that has been ground out of that stump and put it over into your compost pile. And it will do its thing over there with all the vegetables and everything else you put in. Or if you say, hey, Charlie, I don't have a compost pile, then put it somewhere where you can allow it to just kind of decay on its own, compost on its own, and in a year you can utilize that just about anywhere you want in your landscape or your vegetable garden. In the meanwhile, after you have excavated that area where that bur oak was, put in some rich soil that's high in organic matter, compost, et cetera, et cetera. You can even use bag material and utilize that, and then put your azalea in that composted, rich soil, and you're good to go.
All right, well, if it would grow an oak tree, it'll probably grow an azalea.
Exactly.
We'll be back with more with Charlie Stocker right after this. Give us a call.